Okay.
Hello, travelers and tourists. My name is Mark, and I'm a local disaster tour guide. I'm here at Gen Con with...
Jason Keeley. Hi, Pathfinder Senior Designer.
All right. So, Jason, got a few questions for you today.
All right, hit me.
First up, for Pathfinder, what is launching here at Gen Con? What can people find if they stop by the booth?
I'm glad you asked, because today, with this Gen Con, we're launching Pathfinder Battlecry, a book that is near and dear to my heart. I did a lot of work on this. This one is Pathfinder's source book for all things war. We've got basically new ancestry, two new classes, backgrounds, archetypes, other feats, spells, items, siege weapons, everything you need to have a war campaign, right? And we have also introducing this as a skirmish warfare subsystem.
Okay.
It's where you're fighting commanding troops on a sort of a ground level. It's not necessarily a big overarching war subsystem, but it's just when you're just got like 2, 3, 4 armies kind of smashing up against one another. And as your character, you can use your character's abilities as you're commanding troops in the fight. And we have lots of troop stat blocks in here too. So very excited about this. Couldn't be happier how things turned out. We've also got pretty recently released as Lost Omens Shining Kingdoms, a source sort of a lore book about places like Andor, Dolph, Taldor, all those places that are in the Shining Kingdom sort of meta area.
I will give some serious compliments to Lost Omens Shining Kingdoms.
Yes, I love it.
The section on Galt caught me completely by surprise.
I love the options on Galt. There's one of my favorite. I did a little design work on that after the freelancer turned in. The freelancer is Andrew White, one of our employees. He does some great stuff. Being a headless ghost.
Yes.
Love it. The sticking shard of a guillotine in your neck artifact archetype. I was just like so enamored with all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay, are there any other Pathfinder products that are launching at the con, or?
Let me think. We got some plushies here. We're launching. I don't think there's anything that's huge. I think Treasure Vault was remastered. Just came out recently, so we got a lot of copies of that as well.
All right. Talking a little bit more about Pathfinder products, is there anything coming out in the next couple of months that we can look forward to, that we can get excited about?
Yes, you want to get excited about Lost Omens Draconic Codex. It is a big sort of book of dragons, right? We have expanding on the dragons we have in Monster Corps, the sort of new dragons we have there. Bunch new, even more dragons, more draconic heritage stuff. And ancestry, more draconic ancestry stuff. You're going to be able to play a little Drake. So we got, that going for a sort of an update on something like the what was it called? The Dragon Disciples. I'm not using that term anymore. We've got something a little different.
Okay, awesome.
But,
so on Battlecry, since that's your all's newest product, I know that the Guardian and the Commander are the two new classes.
That's right.
And they went through a pretty extensive playtest. My wife got to playtest the Commander a little bit. She enjoyed the experience. I'm curious, from your all's perspective, was there anything surprising about the playtest? Something that you didn't see coming, or something that proved really popular?
Well, I mean, the Commander was very popular, and I think that one is almost relatively unchanged in the playtest. We didn't have to do a lot of shit with that. It was sort of like kind of knocking it out of the park right away. Mike Sayer, who wrote that.
No, he's undead.
I don't know.
Knew what he was doing.
Every time you talk about Zell, I'm like,
the Guardian playtest was a little more rough. People know. I actually wrote that one, but we've polished it up immensely since then. I think it's come a long way. One of the sort of feedback that I like to talk about is how people were a little concerned that you had to be kind of next to the person who's protecting to protect them, sort of intercept protect. But we added a little bit more movement in there.
Awesome.
So that you can, as a Guardian, kind of give a little more of a step in to fight. So you can go over here, go over here. And it's using a reaction to make sure that you can kind of cover the battlefield for that. We changed how taunt works, so it's not save anymore. We know that, and I added a lot more sort of like movement abilities, so you can move people around the battlefield a little more when you're bashing with your shield, or hit them with your armor, that kind of stuff. So sort of with the Commander and the Guardian having all of this sort of tactical control over enemies and friends on a sort of movement level is something that we really like.
So I think my favorite thing from the Guardian, I don't know if this was in the playtest or not, I just saw this last night when I got the book. It's the feat where the Guardian can flex so hard that their armor just shatters and damages everyone around
There
them.
was a version of that in the book, but we kind of, I think we made it do a little more damage. We gave it a little more of a buff, I think, in that, because it was a sort of an anime kind of idea. Of, like, I think it's just called armor rank. There's what is it? The one with the little weak guys, the king, ranking of kings. The ranking of kings anime. There's that one guy's like in armor, and then he flexes armor and breaks, and he's even stronger at that point. We couldn't do like necessarily like, oh, get tougher, but it was just sort of like explode your armor out, and then you start punching people.
But I thought that ability was very creative,
Yeah,
so I
it's fun
enjoyed
stuff.
that one. All right, so as I understand it, Battlecry is kind of playing into some of the big lore events that are going on in Pathfinder. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening in the story of Pathfinder right now?
Battlecry is the sort of launching point for the Hellfire Crisis. It's a big meta event we're getting for the next year or so. That is going to change the face of Gladiator as we know it. I'm not going to tell you what's going to exactly happen at the end of it, of course, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. But it all begins in the sort of the small nation of Isger, which is a vassal state for Cheliax, which are devil-worshipping fascist country, essentially, right? Abigail Thrun, she's the queen of all that. She's sort of lording over everybody, and there's magical artifacts from Gorham's death that are sort of sprinkled everywhere, and she thinks people in Isger have them, so she sends some Hell Knights to this tiny little town of Breach Hill to say, hey, I hear there's a insurgent group there hoarding artifacts. We can't have them have the artifacts. Go in there and sort of root them out. And so the Hell Knights kind of take over this town, start sort of arresting people and interrogating and doing public executions. And that's sort of like Isger sort of asks for help a little bit, or at least not necessarily the government, but the people on the ground are like, help us. And so Andoran is like, we'll send a contingent of Eagle Knight to sort of make sure things are, keep the peace there a little bit. And a retired Eagle Knight general is sort of the head of that diplomatic envoy, and he's publicly executed in Breach Hill Town Square. And that sets off a riot of anti-Cheliax sentiment in Andoran, and so Andoran and Cheliax kind of declare war. Now they're fighting along their shared border. There's some insurgents again, sort of fighting Cheliax and Isger. Other nations are going to get dragged in. There's going to be naval combat on the inner sea. It's just going to be a huge inner sea war, basically.
This is just for me personally. I appreciate the start of the Hellfire Crisis. My group played through Age of Ashes back when when 2E launched, and so to see the return of Breach Hill in kind of that setting. And where that town is now. I enjoy seeing that come back. That's just a fun fit for my group.
That's great, yeah. Some people can have those level 20 PCs who maybe play through Age of Ashes kind of be like, maybe they've gone, maybe they've come back a little bit to sort of guide new PCs, because there's going to be, next year we're going to see the AP Hellbreakers, which is sort of takes place in Isger for the most part, and is about being those Hellbreaker League is the name of the insurgency group. You're low-level members of that, and maybe you start out in Breach Hill collecting up a wounded Andoran Eagle Knight who's like going to basically help you get your group up off the ground and be a full insurgency. And by the end of it, Isger's free, maybe, if you play your cards right.
All right. So last question I have for you today. This is a little bit of a fun question. I know Pathfinder is a big system. I know there's a lot to the game. But just for you personally, what is your favorite thing about Pathfinder?
I'm going to be broad here and say my favorite thing about Pathfinder is how easy it is to GM. I'm a low prep GM for the most part. I do, I run a lot of APs, but I read through them, of course. Got to read through them, make sure I know what I'm doing. I use Foundry because I do a lot of my gaming online. And a lot of that is already prepared. I don't have to worry about maps. But when the time comes when I'm sitting down at the table that day, I maybe have just sort of glanced at the adventure. I'm not, I kind of know where it's going to go, where maybe it should need to go, but I leave it up to my players to kind of help guide it, and I can sort of make up DCs on the spots, pull a monster if need be, a monster core book, archives and methods, and kind of know what's going on. Normally, with the written stuff, it's all sort of there, but I often need to pivot a lot because the story of the AP might not be exactly the story that my players want to tell.
That happens
I can easily pivot and still be, not have to worry about making up whole sets of rules, or if I'm doing rules right. I just sort of roll into 20, I have an idea of what the DC is, and
I have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I have been gaming for a couple of decades now. I've run a lot of different systems. There's a lot of different great games out there, but Pathfinder 2e spoils me as a GM. I genuinely, this is the easiest game I've ever run.
It's so easy to run for the level of crunch that it has. It feels like a miracle.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I hope you have a wonderful con.
You too. And see you guys out on the disaster space.